Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to take a look at utilizing Azure AI Services containers. I've never done this before, but I imagine it's going to be very straightforward because it's a container. So I imagine we're just going to pass our API keys or something to it. So let's see if we can figure this out. The first thing I want to find is the actual containers. So if we go to the Microsoft Container Registry, from here, I'm hoping that we can go find one of these Azure AI services. So we are here at the registry, and I'm going to search, and we're going to type in Azure AI and see what we can find. And so it looks like we have some here. What I'm going to do is compare against the ones they say that we can use. So we have key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, translator. I'm thinking maybe translator just because we keep utilizing that one. So I want to go ahead and find that here. So I'm just going to go back here and type in translator. And there it is. So there's the text translation service. And so here we have containers. Now, if they have some docs, I'll take them. So it's saying, what is Azure AI containers? I was hoping for something a little bit better than this. I thought it would tell me exactly what we need to do to work with this. The container can also run in a discontinued environment. Oh, sorry, I'm just reading that there. So, again, I was hoping that it would tell us a little bit more. But that's fine. Let's just go ahead and spin this up. Before we do, I just want to see if there's anything interesting here. It says deploy Azure container instances. Yeah, maybe we'll just take a look at here, because that's probably where I want to deploy it, is in container instances here. And is there a whole lot of information here? There's some. So let's go ahead and see if we can do this. So I'm going to type in ACI at the top. We'll make our way over to Azure Container Services. We're going to go ahead and create ourselves a container instance. I'm just going to speed through this and just bring over what's relevant, okay? So one key thing they're telling us is that we have to make sure the resources are created before using it. We're using the Azure API service key that we already created in an earlier video, so we already have that. So just make sure that you've done that video first. If you're doing these videos in order, this shouldn't be an issue, but just understand that it's relying on the Azure AI Services setup video, okay? But let me just keep reading here. All right, so we're getting some information here. So I'm going to go ahead and just start working with this. I am going to stick with that subscription. I'm just going to create a new, I'll make a new one. We'll call this Azure AI, or AI containers. And this will just be AI containers. I'm just going to put some numbers here on the end so we don't have a conflict. I'm going to stick with West US. That seems fine to me. We want to source an image from Microsoft. So maybe we can go here and say other. And now we have a path. So we need to find out what the URL is here, or the path for this is. If we go up to the top, does it show us information? Kind of. Go back here, Microsoft.com, whatever, services keyword would represent it. So here they have an example of this one here. So again, just making sure that that is correct. I was really hoping they just have the name here. What if we click into the latest one? Yeah, there we go. There it is. So I'm not sure if we can include the tag. I mean, I would assume that it would use the latest. So normally what I would do is I would grab the tag with it. But I'm going to go back over to this here. Yeah, we'll go back here and we'll paste this in. And so it's not complaining. So clearly we can put the latest tag in here and it'll pull from it. We have Linux and Windows. If not specified, Docker Hub will use the container registry in the latest one. I don't know. I mean, if it's running Python, it should just work on Linux. Then down below here, we have the size that we want to utilize. What are our options? 1.5. That seems like a lot, but that's probably good enough. I don't want to overthink it here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. If you are concerned about cost, you can look up if there is a cheaper cost there, but we're not going to be using this for very long. Networking type is going to be public. So that should be fine. I'm hoping I don't have to fill in the rest here, but let's go back over to here and see. Oh, they're saying use Linux. Change to the recommended size 2 CPU cores and 4 gigabytes. That seems like a lot, but I'm going to go back just because it told me to do that. I'm going to go and do that. It's not going to cost me too much. Oh, you can do GPUs now. That's kind of cool. A V100. That's not the latest right now. The latest is H100 for NVIDIA, and before that's A100. Then you have V100. But that seems fine. Then we have ports, so set the port to 5,000 or 50,000. Is it 50,000? 5,000. Looks like 5,000. So we'll go to networking here. Cancel, cancel. What is it doing? Go back. Okay. It's being a little bit silly here. And I'm going to go back to this and say 2 and 4 and say okay, and we'll go next. And we want to open up this port on TCP. I don't know if we need port 80. I will take that away because I don't think I need that. We will go next. We have on failure, that seems fine. Okay, I'm just going to leave it public. We'll go next. I don't care about naming it. But they do have some other options here. Advanced settings, environment variables. Okay, so this is how we're plugging stuff in. Let's go back to our advanced here. And I don't see, oh, here it is, nvars. So what we need is an API key. Okay. And we need billing. And we need EULA. So those are the 3 that we need. I would imagine that this is secure, so we'll mark that as secure. And I'm going to go back over to Azure AI. So I'm just going to open this a new tab here, AI Services, because I need my key. Make sure you're using that with that logo because they're making it nice and confusing with having both the old one and the new one around. So I'm going to grab this one. We'll go back over to here and we'll paste that in. So that's now in here. We need to determine what our billing tier is. So here's a question. Will it work with Azure AI Services or do we have to use the individual one? Because I imagine that you can. I don't know what the billing tier is. So I guess it's just going to be standard. I'm not sure what it wants for EULA. Is it just going to be accept? There it is. And here it actually says your endpoint URL copied from the keys and endpoint page from the resource. So it's not saying put the word standard in here. It's saying go to here and then grab it, grab what you need. And so we're going to go here. I'm going to grab this one. And that's what it's telling me to do. Sounds a bit bizarre, but I'm going to stick with what it tells me. So review and create. We'll hit review and create. Then it might be that translator just does not work. We'll go ahead and hit create. That's going to spin up. So then here it tells us we have to wait, and then we go to port 5000. And then I guess we'd have to use some kind of external service to ping it. So that's something that we'll have to figure out. Select any post API and select try it out. What does it mean, select try it out? The parameters are displayed, including the input. Fill in the parameters. Okay, well, I'd rather use the CLI here. So it doesn't make it super clear. But we'll go back over to here, and we'll just wait for this to deploy, and then I'll try to figure it out, okay? All right, so our deployment is complete. Let's go to our resource, take a look at what we have here. So it is running. And there should be some endpoint for us. That's what I'm looking for right now. Settings, containers, here we go. Oh, and it's terminated. So that is not a good indicator. That's suggesting to me that there is something that has gone wrong. It does not like something that we have done. And so here it shows container terminated with exit code 0. I can't remember if 0 is bad or not. I always forget 0 versus 1. Means that the success. So that makes it sounds like it ran. There were no issues, and then it stopped. Okay. Well, it does say that translator is something that we can utilize. So, I mean, I do have a link here for translator. Let's take a look here. I'm just going to read this. Just give me a second, okay? So from here, I was able to click through to here, and now we have information configured, translator, Docker container. So it looks like there's a lot more options here that we could configure. I mean, we got the billing right. We did the EULA right. We did this. So yes, required. Yes, this one is required. We did it. Reads and writes data from the host computer to the container and from the container back to the host computer. So maybe this one isn't as straightforward as the other one, but it seems like there's more information on it. But let me read about it and see if I can figure it out, okay? All right, so as I read through this, it makes it look like once it's running, you're going to have an endpoint they're going to hit, and you're going to translate that over. Now, apparently we do have to do some mounting, but again, not sure why we have to do that. So, but I mean, it is clear that there's an endpoint that we can hit. Let's go back over to here. And reads and writes data from the host computer to the container and from the container and back. Is it required mount? I mean, I don't really want to mount anything though. Okay, just give me a second. Now I know it says it's required, but what's interesting is if you look right below here, it makes it sound like these are the only real ones that are required. So, which is it? I'm not sure. But the thing that we don't know is, like, if it runs, why did it stop? So it started, and then it stopped, and we don't know why. And it exited successfully, meaning there was no issues. This is where it'd be nice to see some logs, which might not be easy for us to figure out. It's been a while since I've launched anything here in containers. So, yeah, I mean, we could just hit start again, see what happens. Let's just start it. And it might just stop again. But at least we know generally the flow of it. If this is not going to work, we'll just consider this that we learned the service. My experience with Azure is that it's not always worth the time to get these labs to work. But, you know, I do try to do my best here. We could try and go do the speech to text, but that one has its own challenge because then you have to provide it an audio file, right? And I was hoping that with Translator that we would just be able to provide it some text and work with it that way. But as that is starting, it looks like it may have failed twice. We'll refresh this. Go back over to overview here. One or more containers are waiting in state and may not be running. Click here to view the statuses. Okay. So it's in a waiting state. What does that mean? ACI, waiting state. Does that mean that it's waiting for something? I mean, I don't mind if it's waiting. So while that is going, what I'm going to do here, oh, no, it was terminated. So I guess the question is a waiting state bad? Was it waiting for input? Because it seems like it should run until we give it something to do, right? And that's what we don't know. We do have logs right here. Let's take a look. Ah, missing parameter languages. So probably this is the reason why it failed. Okay. Let's go back over to here and take a look at this. There's no configuration option that says that we have to provide that. Let's go back over to here. And here they're recommending even more than what we're running. Apparently we're not running enough. But it doesn't say language anywhere. But we can clearly see here languages, right? So that makes me think if we go back over to here and we go here, I'm trying to figure out where do we update our envars. Maybe it's under properties. Where could that information be? Not exactly what we want. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure because we set them when we first set this up, right? So let's go back a level here. Let's go over to ACI and we'll click into this. And so what I'm looking for is there a way that we can change our envars? So that is what I'm looking for right now. Identity, no. Properties. I would have thought it would have been under properties here because we see the port. But I'm not seeing an option to change our envars. We might not be able to do that. 1 second. So yeah, I think we'd actually have to create it again, and that's kind of a bit of a pain. The thing is that we just don't know. Like, we could add languages as an environment variable, but like it's not calling that out in the docs. And the only reason why we can see that that's an issue is because of that there. You know what? I'm gonna do it again. I know that it's you know, troublesome, the fact that we have to do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and try that again. So I'm going to go into here. And I'm just going to go and delete this one here. And we're going to try it one more time. Okay. So I'm going to go and drop this down. We'll say AI containers. My AI containers attempt 2. Make sure it's unique name. We'll stick with standard. We'll go with other registry here. If it doesn't work, that's totally fine. I think that we sufficiently understand what it is that we'd have to kind of do. And we'll choose Linux. And this one actually told us to do 4 and 4. Seems like a lot to me, but I'll go ahead and do that. If you don't want to do that, you just want to see if I can figure it out, just go ahead and watch. It's not a big deal. Here we know we need to open up port 50,000, I think they said. I'm going to just double check that here, and whatever this is, this one looks like 5,000 to me, but yeah, it's 5,000. It's not 50,000. That's one other problem we might have here. We'll go to advanced, and we're going to go to yes, and this one is going to be our API key. So I want to just go here, make sure I match these, API key. Notice it doesn't show languages. And I'm going to grab this from here and bring this back. Then we have billing. And this is going to be our endpoint here. And then we have EULA. This will be accept. And then we want languages. And I always spell languages wrong. So just to make sure I don't get that wrong, I'm going to copy it from here. Because there was, I think, a call down here somewhere. Maybe it wasn't this tab, languages. Well, I'll just copy the word here, languages. And just scrolling through here, yeah, languages. So I'm just going to grab that. And then we'll just paste this in here. There's nothing that tells us how we're supposed to do it, so that is my best guess. Basically, we'll give it a language and it'll spit back these translated languages. And I'm hoping that that is good enough to work. So let's go ahead, review and create. Now, we didn't mount anything. It says that's required, but maybe it's not. Again, I do not trust the docs whatsoever. We'll go ahead and create that and we'll see what happens. Okay? So our deployment is complete. Let's go to that resource and take a look. We're going to go over to containers. This one is in a waiting state. Here you can see it's attempted more than once. Now we're getting exit code of 1. So at least we're getting something else. But we have no logs available. So this might be a little bit too hard for us to debug just because we don't have that information. API key is not showing up here, which is totally fine. But yeah, it looks like it's not working. So that's okay. I think that we figured out what we can figure out, but if we don't have the information, we can't do it. And we'd have to do a lot of work to find out by going to support. And then you know what? Microsoft's probably going to change stuff on us again, and I don't want to waste your time. So I think that we achieved what we wanted to achieve for the sake of exams. Let's go ahead and delete this container resource. Okay, and this one's an AI containers. We're going to go ahead and clean that up. And we're going to consider this one done. So let's just iterate over what should have happened. If that had worked and it was deployed, what we were expecting to happen was to go to down below here, and we should have been able to hit it with an API endpoint. They had one here somewhere. Maybe it was actually on this page. Yeah, so we should have been able to curl it, like translate, tell it the API version from to, and provided its text, and hopefully that would have worked. But yeah, the other thing that the reason why that container might have not worked is maybe we did need that mount as required, but the only way we'd find out is if there was some way we could connect to the instance and debug it, but we don't know enough about the how that thing was built, and it's not worth our time. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully you learned something there. Okay? Ciao.